Professor Vexithera clicked her mandibles in satisfaction as she led the massive Kethmaran hunting beast into Lecture Hall 7. The creature stood nearly 3 meters tall, its razor-sharp claws clicking against the polished floor as it padded. Behind her on a reinforced plasma leash, its 6 eyes glowed amber in the artificial lighting, scanning the classroom for potential prey. The mixed species class of xenobiology students pressed themselves against the far walls, their various forms of terror evident across multiple physiologies. The Zalari students' bioluminescent patches flickered rapidly in distress patterns, while the crystalline Vorthai made sharp harmonic sounds of fear. Even the usually stoic Drakmari had their protective plates fully extended, all except for the 2 humans in the back row. Lisa Chen sat relaxed in her chair, absently twirling a stylus between her fingers as she observed the predator with mild interest. Beside her, William Rodriguez leaned forward with obvious curiosity, making notes on his tablet. Today, Professor Vexithera announced, her voice carrying the natural authority of an apex predator species, we study live hunting behavior. This Kethmaran represents the pinnacle of evolutionary killing efficiency. Note the enhanced sensory organs, the retractable claws capable of piercing starship hull plating, and the acidic saliva that can dissolve most known materials. The beast let out a low rumble that sent vibrations through the floor. Several students whimpered. William raised his hand casually. Professor Vexithera's head snapped toward him, surprised. In 3 decades of teaching, no student had ever interrupted during a live predator demonstration. Yes, human William? Quick question, William said, his tone conversational. Is it house-trained? The lecture hall fell into stunned silence. Even the Kethmaran seemed taken aback, tilting its massive head in confusion. Professor Vexithera's mandibles twitched. House. Trained. You know, Lisa chimed in, not looking up from her notes. Does it know not to make a mess indoors? Because that's a big animal and this is a nice classroom. The professor stared at them. In all her years studying the galaxy's most feared predators, she had never encountered anything quite like human psychology. These 2 were displaying the same casual concern they might show for a domestic pet. It is an apex predator, she said slowly, as if explaining to particularly dense younglings. It has evolved to hunt and kill with perfect efficiency. Its bite force exceeds 12,000 pounds per square inch. It can track prey across 3 star systems using scent alone. Right. William nodded, understanding. But does it know to use the bathroom outside? The Kethmaran made a noise that sounded almost like confusion. It had faced down Drakmari war chiefs and Zalari hive queens without hesitation. But these small pink creatures were discussing its toilet habits with the same tone others used to plan lunch. Professor Vexithera decided to ignore the question and continue. Observe its hunting stance. She clicked a command into her remote, and the beast immediately dropped low, muscles coiled for a strike. It is preparing to attack. Note the predatory focus, the perfect balance. Oh, that's just play behavior, Lisa interrupted, glancing up briefly. See how its ears are forward and its tail is doing that little twitch thing? Classic play pose. Our old dog Rex used to do the exact same thing before he'd chase his ball. The professor's eye stalks rotated in bewilderment. Play? This creature has never engaged in play behavior. It is a perfect killing machine, bred for maximum lethality across 17 generations of... Have you tried throwing it a stick? William asked genuinely. I will not throw a stick at a Kethmaran hunting beast. Why not? Lisa asked. Look at its body language. It's obviously been well socialized, probably wants attention more than anything else. As if responding to her words, the massive predator let out a sound that was suspiciously close to a whine. Its tail, which had been rigid with supposed killing intent, was now swaying back and forth in an unmistakable rhythm. The professor looked at her prized demonstration specimen in growing horror. Stop that, she hissed at the beast. You are a feared apex predator. Act like it. The Kethmaran's response was to sit down and pant, its massive tongue lolling out of its mouth. Definitely wants attention, William observed. Lisa, you still have those protein bars? always. Lisa pulled a wrapped bar from her bag and held it up. Here, boy. Want a snack? The creature's eyes locked onto the offering with laser focus. It began to vibrate with excitement, a deep thrumming that rattled the windows. Do not feed the apex predator, Professor Vexithera shrieked. Too late. Lisa tossed the bar gently toward the beast. With reflexes that would have been terrifying in a hunting context, the Kethmaran snatched the treat out of the air and settled down to chew contentedly. The change in the room's atmosphere was immediate. The other students began to relax as they watched the apex predator make happy chewing noises while its tail continued to wag. You see, William said to the class, the key to understanding any predator species is recognizing that intelligence and social behavior often go hand in hand. Most successful predators are actually highly social creatures who form complex, emotional bonds. But, Professor Vexithara protested weakly, it's killed 12 sentients in regulated combat scenarios. Probably because it was scared and defending itself, Lisa said pragmatically. Poor thing's been locked up in a lab its whole life, hasn't it? Never properly socialized with other species. The Kethmaran made a soft, chirping sound and looked, hopefully at Lisa for another treat. Professor Vexithara slumped in defeat. Her carefully planned demonstration of predatory superiority had been derailed by two humans who apparently saw every dangerous creature in the galaxy as a potential pet. Class dismissed, she muttered. As the students filed out, chattering excitedly about the friendly monster, William approached the professor. You know, if you're interested, there's this great training program back on Earth. They specialize in rehabilitation for misunderstood predators. I could send you the contact information. Professor Vexithera looked at her apex predator, now lying on its back while Lisa scratched its belly, and wondered if perhaps the humans had conquered the galaxy not through superior firepower or technology, but through their bizarre ability to turn everything into a pet. The Kethmaran's purring filled the lecture hall, and she had her answer.